Hello, I'm Sarah the Gallifreyan Ravenclaw. I'll be honest, this is more the question than a theory. There's a lot of unanswered questions about Harry Potter, but there is a very simple question about the Wizarding World that we never learn the answer to. We all know that muggle-borns, or as good as like Dean or Tom Riddle, receive their acceptance letter in person from a member of staff, usually a professor from Hogwarts. So I didn't include Harry on that list because they didn't count him originally because they thought the Dursleys would explain everything, but obviously he then kind of got added to that list when they sent Hagrid. So Hermione, Dean, Tom Riddle, Lily, Colin Creevey, etc. all got a professor on their doorstep around their 11th birthday to explain all about the magical world. But Colin Creevey is the interesting example I said on that list. Or more accurately, Dennis is. Out of all the examples, Colin is the only one to have a younger sibling. Petunia is older than Lily, if you aren't sure. And unlike the Evans sisters, the Creevey brothers are both magical. So the question is fairly simple. Did Dennis get his letter like a muggle-born or a child from a magical family? Because it would obviously be a waste of time for them to send a professor to like Bill Weasley, let alone any of his younger siblings, because their parents are magical. But by that logic, which category does Dennis fall into? Because Dennis's parents had already had the entire explanation just a year or two earlier with Colin. So they wouldn't need to go and explain everything to him again. And obviously Colin had told him, both Dennis and their parents, a lot more about the Wizarding World. And obviously we assume that when whichever professor it was took Colin to buy his stuff from Diagon Alley, Dennis went with them, as the parents would have probably both gone. And so obviously they'd also have had Colin telling them all about Hogwarts over that summer. So did Dennis need the entire professor's explanation? I doubt it. But I also doubt he'd be treated exactly the same as, say, Bill Weasley. I'm using Bill as the example because he's the oldest. They wouldn't need a professor to take them to Diagon Alley anymore because they'd know where they were going, having been there before, and Colin would have a wand to be able to open the entrance, or they could ask Tom the landlord. But I don't believe he'd still have been treated exactly the same as one of the Weasleys, because I don't think they can sort of go, oh, there won't be any more questions. So I think whichever professor had delivered Colin's letter would probably have included an additional note of sort of ask if you have any more questions. As obviously there would probably be more things that on the original day when the professor came to explain about Colin, they wouldn't have maybe thought of all their questions because they would have been in total shock. And so there would be other things that they have learnt since from Colin and other ones they haven't. So I feel there should still be a sort of second category of more questions, like they might want to know how much the siblings can see each other. Would they be sharing a dorm? That kind of thing. Things that they wouldn't actually have a clue of. So I think it would include probably a note from that professor, and maybe they would even visit not on the same day as the letter. They'd give it a few days after the letter arrived to visit and sort of go, is everything okay? Have you gone to Diagon Alley yet? Do you want me to come with you and show you the way again? Or is there anything else that you need me to help with? Just because obviously the fact that they've got one wizard in the family doesn't mean the parents now know everything about the magical world. Obviously Colin has probably told them quite a lot by this point, but he wouldn't have told them everything. And obviously I am just using the Creevey brothers as an example. Throughout the Harry Potter series, they're the only family I can think of who is two muggle-born magical siblings. But there probably are others, I just couldn't think of any, so this question wouldn't just be for them. And then obviously you could have the hypothetical, if there's a third sibling. We don't know of the Creeveys having another sibling, but there could be a younger sister, let's say, and she could be 2 years younger. And so then if she's magical, would they do even less? Would they just send the letter and go, by now they've been at Hogwarts for 3-4 years, let's not bother? Or would they go, okay, we'll still need to put the additional note saying, let us know if you have any more questions. So what do you think they do for younger siblings from muggle-born families who already have a magical sibling at Hogwarts? Do they send a professor or just the letter, and would it depend on the older sibling's age? If there's a massive age gap between the siblings and they're already doing their NEWTs, then do you bother to do all the stuff? Or because the siblings then been at Hogwarts for 6 years, they don't need to explain as much. But obviously with Dennis and Colin, if I remember correctly, it's only 1 year in between them. And so Colin has only spent 1 year in the magical world, and we know from Harry and Hermione, even in Deathly Hallows, there's still things that they say and Ron has to explain. So it does take longer to learn about the magical world than you would think. So there would still always be questions that muggle-borns and equivalents would be thinking. So how much do you think they do? So if you have any suggestions of what they might do, or you think that it is likely that the professor does still turn up, then let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching. Bye.